Hello, welcome back to Otter Pop Culture. Today I'm going over my top 10 albums of 2021. These are actually ranked, but if you're in this top 10, you're pretty much you're the best albums that I really came across in 2021. And there's a handful of albums that I liked, but these ones really kind of pulled me emotionally, or I just love the uniqueness of it and so many other things, or I was a fan of them and they just threw it out of the park. And some people actually just released their first album or has just become independent, and so this is their first album independent kind of direction. So I'm really excited to get into this. So let's get started with the number 10, which is Seth Century's Super Cool Treehouse album. So this is a really fun one. This one pretty much was formed because on his YouTube channel, he has this thing of every Sunday, he would ask the fans to pretty much send him beats, and every Sunday he'll pretty much take those beats and do a rap over them. It's been going on for a while, and then after a while he decides to just put it as an album and just release it, and it was so nice because it's been a long time since we had a Century album, and the fact that we finally have one was really great. And so the way it came out in the best way that it usually does. Like, it doesn't really feel like an album more than it feels like kind of a nod and a thank you towards the fans. But it feels like an album at the same time because it still has really good songs, and it has really good production. And I don't know who these fans are that made these beats, but congratulations on them on making good beats, like really fun beats. Most of them are pretty much kind of gaming beats. Like, you have, like, Super Mario, like, influence in it. You have, Castlevania kind of influence in it, which is a full-on song that's called that. But you have those kind of things like that, and it's so good. And this rapper is from Melbourne is not really, I don't think he's landed hard on the US direction yet, but if you haven't, get into him because he's really good. And he's definitely self-aware, and he loves to kind of just joke around when it comes to like doing songs and everything. And he doesn't really take things too seriously, but at the same time, in the midst of all these jokes, he does have have stuff to say as well. There's one of the songs, I'm Not Sad, which kind of talks about his depression while being in the pandemic and being inside all the time. And he talks about that, but it's a weird space where it's just kind of denial, but he's in the midst of that denial and still talking about it pretty much a lot, and I love it. I think it's a really good song. It was a really good track. I'm just so happy he's back. I'm so happy that he did that. It's a nice little nod to the fans. Going into number 9 is JoJo, Try Not to Think About It. So this is another person who also just like, who had or not another person, but this is a person that had a lot of issues with her record deals, and Blackground Records didn't want to let her go for some reason, but never want to release any music from her. And so she had to pretty much just go away divide herself from them just so she could make her own music. And she finally did. And her music since has been really good. And this is an EP technically, but it feels like a full-on album because it's like 11 songs. So I don't really know I'm still trying to figure out this whole thing when people like saying like, oh no, it's an EP, oh no, it's an album. It's just like there's albums that are 8 tracks, and there's EPs that are 8 tracks, but then there's albums that are 11 tracks, and there's EPs that are 11 tracks too. It's kind of weird, but I like to see it as an album because it feels like it, and it's pretty much about her depression, her anxiety, and her love life, and pretty much just breaking down all those things that surrounds more of her mental health. But you see where all of it plays in different parts of her life. And she's super honest and very vulnerable with her talk. And I love it, just goes in and out with a lot of songs like, Anxiety, Belinda's theme. That talks about her anxiety and just how much she's upset with it, and characterizing it as an actual, making it an actual, person so she can kind of talk to it in that way. Feel Right. I love Feel Right when that one kind of talks about the idea of just like whether or not she's in this relationship because she wants to be or whether it's because it's just comfortable. But it also stems into what she thinks about relationships and love. And then it goes into Fresh Sheets where the album kind of switches over a bit and starts talking more about ways that she's kind of like resisted some things. Like, for example, she has Fresh New Sheets, where it's like, it's pretty much talking about how she wants this guy to come over, but she knows that her heart's not in the right space. And even though it's just a hookup, she knows that she'll make it mean way more than it's supposed to because she's still hurt in her space. So she says, like, don't come over. I'm going to keep this to myself, blah, blah, blah. And I love that. And then it goes into, Worse I Assume, which is a really good one too. And I really love that one, talking about how often she's been hurt in love, so to the point where she always assumes something's worse is going to happen to her. But I love it ends with Lift, where it says that she feels like she's in a better place. She also feels like she's still trying and she's turning direction towards you. So like, if this relates to you, just know that there's a other side to this, and that I hope this lifts you up and everything. I really love that. I just think it's a full, nice, rounded album. EP, I guess. Going into number 8, which is Easy Life, and their album called Life's a Beach. So this is a UK R&B indies kind of group, and they are really, really good. I love their I love the fact that we get more R&B influence in a lot of music lately, and I feel like they're a great like example of that. This album's pretty nice. It pretty much is another one where it kind of touches on the idea that life does throw shit at you, but it's all about how you kind of get back up from it and kind of learn a lot, life lessons learned that this person has learned, especially Maury, who's the lead singer. And he just does a really good job. I love his vocals. I love his kind of a rawness to his vocals too. But at the same time, it kind of fits very nicely into the emotions of what he's talking about. He talks about depression. He talks about life being like, kind of being you just because there's no one else to be. And really good songs. Like, I love Daydreaming. I love Nightmares. I love Skeletons. It was the song that got me into this album. And this is their first album. So and they did a great job to just hit it right out the park. It's a great song. It's a great album. Going into number 7, which is Jasmine Sullivan, Hotels. So this is a complete turnaround. I, myself, have been in and out with Jasmine. Like, the last album before this one, I didn't really get into. Like, I kind of got into it-ish, but I didn't really finish it. But the other two I did like. I definitely did like the first two. And so coming back to her when she was releasing another album, and I had a friend that like pointed me towards her again. She's like, you gotta get into her. And I was like, okay. Got into her, even watched her Tiny Desk, and I really, 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 really loved it. I think it's so great to see her come back, and I love that she's getting a lot of not notification. She's getting a lot of notice from the mainstream as well, again, because it felt like there's a lot of spaces, especially with black women getting black women R&B, and just being a person of the 2000s that made a hit in 2000s, and whether you can be more relevant, you can still be relevant in today, is all types of hard space to kind of keep, that she has against her. So it's great to see the fact that she's like, bam, still making it, still doing it. I'm out here and it's still working. And she just, her vocals amazing. I love the fact she was in, Savage Fenty, fashion show. I loved it. This album is so great. Bodies just kills it immediately. You just get swooped in with Bodies. I love it. On It is a great song. I love the fact that I got more into it after I listened to it in Fendi. And then Price Tags with Anderson .Paak is so good. It's weird because it's so chill, but it also has this weird kind of like, not offbeat. You don't know when the beat is supposed to come in, but because it's so like, da da cha da da cha da da cha, and so it's just like, oh, that's very slow to kind of get it into. But then when you get when she comes in to start singing, then you're like, oh, okay. This is there's a reason for this vibe kind of thing. It's a great, the whole album's great. And it talks about pretty much the things that women go through, especially Black women, and how it's just like, sometimes, from like, I notice that my body is the only thing that people react to, so I make sure that I'm the greatest at sex, so that I know if they don't want me, at least they want that. And then how the double standards with men compared to women and men, and how they can do stuff, but if a woman does it, it fucks up it fucks up the men's ego, and just different stories and different people's stories. I love that. There's even a lesbian story too, about losing somebody because she's afraid to be her full authentic self. And so she ends up losing the love of her life. And I feel like I just love that. I think it's just so in-depth with those kind of like topics. I love it. Going into number 6 is Tenache 333. This is a great album. Just a great album. I gave her last album a 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. Because I wasn't really feeling the long, extended, like, second song kind of thing going on. And so it made it feel like the songs were kind of dragging on. But this right here, it just completely took it to the next level. And it still gives you, because the vibe of the last album was great. It was just, some songs were very, very long. And this one, the vibe is still the same, but it gives you, it feels like it's much more organized, and also, it's not organized, it's much more, like, lack of better words, like, more focus. It's more like, I get it, this is what's happening, blah, blah, blah. And it also is more loose, too. It seems like she's not really looking for an expectation of anything. It's kind of, it's just feels so nice. It feels very loose into, she's having fun and staying in that space of experimenting with sounds. And I love that. This album is amazing. I love the singles with Bouncing and, what was the other one? Pasadena and I Can See the Future. Both of those, all 3 songs, completely different vibes and great, great songs. And then, of course, you go into, like, Undo, Back to My Heart. Such a great song. It's very, like, Weeknd. I kind of was thinking that Weeknd was going to be on it, but it ended up being somebody different. But it's such a good song. And then, of course, my favorite off the album, which is Bouncing Part 2, where she completely just slows it down and just a complete vibe, complete mood. I'm so happy with that album. To the point, I gave it 10 out of 10. So that's a huge jump from where I came from last time. Going into number 5 is Silk Sonic, An Evening with Silk Sonic. Silk Sonic is two people of Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. This is a amazing, short but amazing album. It gives you that, like, 70s soul and just that nostalgic sound of the 70s. Like, it's just so great. It's so amazing. Bruno Mars, seeing him coming back after a long time of not really being in the spotlight, he's back, and he does a great job with his vocals, and it's just so amazing. And of course, Anderson .Paak, great guy. There's a great vocals in this too, and I didn't really think that they would mingle really well. I actually never thought about them being together. When I saw them together, I was like, wow, this is something I never thought, something I didn't know I needed. Such a great song. Leave the Door Open, it's still my favorite off the album. It's so great. It was a first single, and everybody kind of likes Smoking Out the Window, which I do too, but Leave the Door Open kills it. Kills it. It's just such a great song. Going into number 4, which is Gavin Turek, Madame Gold. This LA singer is so amazing. I talk about her a lot. And I was so excited to see what her album's gonna be, because she has that kind of funky sound, and she also experiments with her sound too, that you don't really hear as often. And so it's fun. It was so great to get into her album and know that it's a full bodied album. Like, it's so much going on. It's not so much going on. It's such a mood, but it also just, there's so much funk throughout the whole time, and it's so great, and I love it. 2 AM, Elevator, 2 of the songs that, like, got me fully into her, because I already listened to her stuff before. Like, My Delight was my first song I got into her for, and then I kind of kept track since on. But with this album started coming around, I was like, okay, there's an album coming. And Elevator, 2 a.m. So I love Slide, I love Whisper with that had both Block Party on it. And I loved it. It was, they combined so nicely too with their voices. Illusions is such a full-on thing, just talking about how beautiful this love that she's found is, and she doesn't really want to know. She's so in love with the idea of what they are, that she doesn't even want to know about his past, doesn't even want to know anything about his flaws, because what she feels right now is just good, is good enough, pretty much. I love it. Hero is about taking on your own life and taking yourself and taking more responsibility on yourself, and then just doing what you need to do, because knowing that no one else will save you. I love it. I think she does a great job in this album. I love it. Number 3 is S.G. Lewis and his album Times. This is another person. This person has not released any album. He's released EPs, which is my favorite EP that I like to EPs I like to combine, which is Dark Dawn. In the UK, there actually is an album together with it, but on Spotify in the US, it's not like that. But I made a playlist where it's all combined, so it sounds perfect. This album is pretty much an ode to Christmas. It's an ode to disco and escapism, and it just does a great job. One More with Nile Rodgers does a great job. It's just one of my favorite songs. Chemical is a complete Molly roll type of dancing in the club kind of sound. Impact with Robin and Channel Triss, such a good song. It's so good. Feet to Fire, even better. It's just with Lucky Day. It's just a really good, good track. Very short album, but it does exactly what you want it to do. It doesn't stay for too long. It doesn't go on for too long. It isn't it just does what it really does a great job of celebrating disco while keeping it modern in the best way. I love it. Going to number 2, which is Remy Wolf off her album Juno. So Juno is an amazing album. But Remy Wolf has been somebody that I got into very in the beginning. I got into her, I think it's Sauce. Yeah, Sauce. I got into Sauce and I was like, oh, I love this. I love her vocals. It's very soulful. Got into more of it, got into the Dog trilogy, and love that. And just every single song she does is just, every single song is, I don't remember ever being a song that's like, this is okay. A lot of the songs, I like every single song. And on this album, same thing. I like every single song. And it's crazy. When you start with Liquor Store, and I was kind of nervous because my thought was like, oh my god, she's releasing an album, but none of the songs that were on they're on the EPs are going to be on the album. So now we're just going off of complete new songs. And I was very nervous about it. I was like, oh, what if it doesn't hit the same? What if she doesn't strike it the same way that she did before? Well, she does. Liquor Store, immediately. Gorilla, completely a noise pop kind of sound. Anthony Kiedis, amazing. Grumpy Man, talking about, her ideas of what love is to her. Sexy Villain, where she pretends she's in love with this guy, but she also is a serial killer. Buzz Me In, when she's going back and forth with this, on and off with this, I feel like it's a female, but she's talking about to this person that she's with, and she knows that this is toxic, but she keeps on going back and going in with, being with her, and then street that you live on is her kind of avoiding the street that her ex lives on. And I think it's so nice. This whole song, the whole album is so fun. You can feel the fun coming out of it. She's so loud in the best way. And I love the fact that it just feels like the band, her, are just having a good time. And I love that. You can feel it from the album. Going into, finally, number 1. And this is I'm just so excited to talk about this. But this is Surfaces and their album Pacifico. So this Texas-based duo is so amazing, and I actually took a while to kind of warm up to them, because I felt like, at first I was like, okay, these songs are kind of to be honest, I felt like the songs were kind of plain. No one's like, okay, they're all kind of sound about the same with the first album, but then as I started listening to more, as they went on, the more they started to kind of perfect their sound on top of experimenting with more of their sound. I feel like and they figured out that they have a following and a sound that a lot of the fans like, which is that kind of oceany, the beachy sound, that type of sound, pretty much. So they leaned into it. They completely leaned into it. In the middle of summer, they released this album, and it was pretty much the soundtrack of my summer. I listened to it a lot, and to the point where I loved it so much that it is my alarm clock. It's my alarm clock when I wake up. Like, this album starts off, the alarm clock goes off, and it's pretty much from the first song, Climb, and it's just such a great song. That song is not a song, it's just more an intro, but it's a great thing to wake up to. My favorite songs is So Far Away, Wave of You, Come With Me, the best song, Come With Me is my favorite song off the album. Time Zones kind of comes right against it, but I really, really love that one. Let Me Know, I really love that one. It's just the great album. It's complete summer. It's a full summer, mood. But that's pretty much it. That's all I got for this top 10. Let me know what you thought about my top 10. If you have some songs or some albums that is your favorite on this list, let me know what your favorite songs off of them too. If you have a top 10 too, put it in the comments, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe button, and a notification bell too, to get more of my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next video.